Hello, friends, and welcome to the CUInsight Network. My name is Randy Smith. I'm one of the co-founders of CUInsight.com, also the host of the CUInsight Experience podcast. And now I get to have fun with this CUInsight Network we've created. This is our second episode. It's my job to have conversations with those thought leaders who support credit unions in our movement to take some of the issues that are facing us all and hopefully find some solutions or at least a few nuggets that we can all learn from and make our credit unions better. My guest on today's show, I was really excited for him. I got to meet him about a year ago, and it has been too long, is Mr. Bolun Li. Bolin is the founder and CEO of Zogo Financial. I had the opportunity, like I said, to meet him last year at CUNA GAC, and I kind of assumed we'd have more conversations before now. So it's so great to see you. Thanks for being on the show, Bolin.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for inviting me and excited to be on the show.
Thank you, sir. Hey, I'd like to kick off. Most of us did not have that thought growing up that we'd be working in credit unions. So my guess is when you went to Duke, you were like, someday I might work with credit unions. So, what did you want to be growing up, and how did, this amazing thing you're doing called Zogo come to be?
Yeah, no, when I was growing up, I really always wanted to be a scientist. That was kind of my thing. Like, I just wanted to be a scientist. I wanted to create things. And I just really like experiment. I think that's super, super cool and super fun. And like you said, never in a million years would I thought after graduating from Duke, I am very deep in the credit union world today. So, like when I get into Duke, I just really started seeing all kinds of, I guess, all kinds of problems that our generations are facing. And one of the biggest problem that we saw is financial literacy for our generation, for Gen Z, the younger people. Even my friends at Duke, I would say some of the smartest people, right? Some of the smartest people, some smartest kid, physics major, whatever, they have no clue about their finance. They have no clue what a credit score is. They have no clue insurance deductible. And they're very embarrassed to talk about it, to talk about how little they know.
That's always been something mind-boggling to me, right? Like, it's not something that's taught in school for the most part.
It's not. I mean, when I was in high school, right, we did have a financial literacy class, but it was like a 3 hours long presentation, actually by a local bank. So a local banker would came in, put on these presentations that has their logos all over the place, and obviously it's not graded, so no one really paid attention. Like, I wasn't paying attention. No one was paying attention. Just texting each other, Snapchatting, all that kind of stuff. And then at the end of the presentation, the bank would give each of the kid a little flyer. It was like, open a checking account and you'll get $20 if you open the checking account. And that was really kind of all the education we got growing up. And even at Duke, zero financial literacy class, nothing.
Right? Yeah. No. Yeah. That's pretty. It's crazy, really. So let's before we jump into a few different things I want to talk about. Let's pretend that the pandemic doesn't exist. You and I meet at a conference. Maybe we're walking through the lobby of the Marriott Marquis. Give me the elevator pitch. What is Zogo, and how do you work with credit unions?
Yeah. So Zogo is a gamified financial literacy app that break down complicated financial concept into bite-sized modules that is completely co-branded with all of our financial institution partners. And we help financial institutions engage, attract, and educate the next generation of members, specifically credit unions. So
you said something interesting right there that leads me to the next thing I wanted to talk to you about. Engaging and attracting. Credit unions need younger members. We need to bring that average age down. What hacks do you have? How do we bring more Gen Z and younger members into the credit union system?
Yeah, no, I think first and foremost, we did a survey on campus at Duke University. 76% of college students have no idea what a credit union even is.
Yeah.
No clue. And and me too. Like when I first started Zogo, I had no idea what a credit union is, and it was kind of a coincidence that I got into space. So I think first and foremost, we need to raise awareness among younger generations about the existence of credit unions. I think that's number one, and number two, which is something that's really attractive to the younger people, to the younger demographic, is the social responsibility that credit unions have and how much credit union cares about their members and their communities. Gen Z, the younger generations, will kill for that over bigger banks. And I think credit unions really need to figure out a way to continue to emphasize on that versus all the financial products that they offer. So that's something we work with all of our credit union partners on as well, just trying to get the word out there in the medium that young people find authentic.
I feel like there's a story in here. You mentioned even like when you were starting Zogo and looking at financial education, it wasn't credit unions you were thinking about. So how did that? What was the coincidence that happened where suddenly you were like, "What are these credit union things?"
Yeah, it was so funny. So I met uh, Chris from Constellation way back in the day.
Okay.
And he, like completely through, cold emails, that kind of stuff. And he kind of brought me to a conference called Venture Tech, where I met with the CEO of Coastal Credit Union. And then
Chuck
that's the
Purvis.
first time I really, yeah. That was the first time I really kind of start to know like credit unions and how it works. And when I first heard about it, I was like, there's no way this is real. Like this doesn't sound too good to be true. Like how can a bank be nonprofit, and how can a bank cares like so much about their members and stuff? But that's just not how we perceive financial institutions these days. But then the next time I did the CUISO conference and the next big idea competition, and we won that competition that year. Yeah. And that was just an eye opening. And after that, we started working with CUInsight, publishing some articles on how young people don't know about credit unions, and just started getting really a lot of inbound requests from credit unions wanting to work with us. So that's how we kind of came about.
That's
early
fantastic.
on.
We love
Very,
it.
very crazy.
Oh no, it's been fun to watch you. I've been a fan. So, like I said, I assumed we'd talk a lot more, but then this pandemic happened. So we'll move forward. Something I found interesting when doing a little homework for you being on today was there's the idea that you talked about attracting new members and kind of building that awareness, but then there's also the financial education part of it, and there was something that you said, and is like providing financial education in a way that the younger member wants to learn, and that where people love. Do both of those tie in together? Can you not have one without the other? I guess they seem like they meld well together. And what do you mean by providing financial education for people the way they want to receive it and that they love?
Yeah, I mean, I think traditionally financial education has been delivered in a way that's very old school, like a presentation, seminars, webinars, whatever that is. But as the pandemic has shown us, people really do spend a lot of time on their phone. And especially for the younger demographic, that's really the preferred way of interacting and learning about things. I was just looking back, like we have this whole revolution of mobile banking app where you can basically now do everything related to finance through your mobile banking app. Deposit a check, check your balance, whatever that is. Previously, you have to go in person, like do all these, really, really tedious things. But there's this one thing that never really got to that stage of mobile first, and that's financial education. Yeah. It's still very outdated, and it's still very much very old school. And that's just not, I just don't think that's how the younger generation and the older generation too wants to perceive and receive these informations. So that's when we made the move.
Yeah, that's really cool. I couldn't agree with you more. I think that my gut tells me that even over the past year, it's pushed a lot of people forward out of their comfort zone that maybe they were in. So older members even now using some of these on, the mobile tools where they may have still showed up to the credit union or to
Yeah.
Whole Foods or wherever, right? So I think it's going to be interesting. The other thing that I kept thinking about was, and this is something that surprised me and I think surprises a lot of people, was I spent time in Indonesia and in Kenya over the past few years, and they are so mobile first because they like skipped
Yeah.
the computer. They
Let's skip
skipped
the card. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
card and everything. And it's just, so it blows me away when you sit there and you pull up an app in Indonesia and you can do everything. I mean, anything you need can be done from your phone, and
Yeah.
that's the only place to get it, right? So I absolutely love it. Yeah, as you know, I think you're onto something there. I want to stick with the future, and this made me, again, I couldn't think of anybody better to talk to about this. You're obviously an innovative company doing new things for credit unions. Break out the crystal ball. We've seen a ton of disruption over the past few years. No chance that's going to slow down. What trends are you seeing? Is it mobile? And where is Zogo's focus going forward when it comes to innovation and, getting helping with these challenges? Let's just say.
Yeah. No, I think there are two things I want to mention, and I think I really want to just speak for the younger generations, because that's really our expertise. So there are two things, and the second thing I think a lot of people will find it very interesting. So the first one obviously is mobile. Everyone is doing everything on their phone now, and I think financial institutions should increasingly improve that experience, and making it easier and easier to do everything through the mobile phone and have a presence on people's phone, no matter where that is. So number one is definitely mobile, and number two, believe it or not, I think it's branches. I think there needs to be some very big innovation of retail branches that's going to like fully differentiate certain financial institutions from other financial institutions. And I say that because I know a lot of people think younger people, oh, love mobile, so the branches are not important anymore. But that's not true. There's research that we've done internally that found that Gen Z actually are much more likely to use branches than their
I
parents.
like to, as we get closer to the end of the show, talk about the future. And I couldn't have been more excited to ask you about this. Zogo is such an innovative company. I know you're, looking at changing the way a lot of things are being done. So break out that crystal ball for me. We've seen a lot of disruption in financial services over the past few years. It's not going to stop. There's going to be more to come. What trends are you seeing? And where is Zogo's focus when it comes to innovating to meet these challenges?
Yeah. So I think there are a couple of things. I want to say three things, three trends that I'm seeing. So number one, definitely mobile. Everything is going mobile, and I don't want to spend too much time on this point because I think all of you get the point, how important it is, and everyone's doing everything on their phone now. But second thing is there's this big trend of financial institution offering something for their parents, for the customers who are parents, and for their children. So helping the parents be able to either manage the finance for the children, or create some ways to make that connection, because obviously research found that for the younger generations, they're very likely to open an account at wherever their parents have the account. So earning the loyalty from the parents is very critical to build the next generation of member base, I think, for the future of credit union. So that's number two. And then the third one, I think, is very controversial, but we firmly believe that at Zogo, which is the importance of branches. And there's going to be a huge innovation. I have no doubt that there's going to be a huge innovation in how branches are structured and how branches function for a financial institution. And I personally, firmly believe that whatever financial institution can figure that out first will have a huge leg up from any other financial institutions. And believe it or not,
I was going to say,
Oh, go
what
ahead.
is it? What is it about branches that when you did your, you surveyed Gen Z? I mean, that they
Yeah,
liked. I mean,
that's the interesting thing we found, and we know this intuitively ourselves as well. Gen Z really likes financial institutions that have branches, and they like that physical presence. And we actually found that through our internal research, that Gen Z actually go to the branches more often than their parents.
huh?
It's fascinating. It's
That
fascinating,
absolutely
and
is.
that's why very early on, Zogo made the decision that we're not going to issue our own card, or we're not gonna be a neobank, all these neobank, because we just don't think they're actually gonna win in the future, unless obviously they start building physical branches. So that's why we decided for our path to partner with all the financial institutions and to partner with them to build this out phase by phase, right? First phase is mobile, like making sure that there's a strong mobile presence for all the financial institutions. And then the next thing we'll be working on is working with financial institutions on their branches and to make the branches the center of financial education for the community.
Okay, so it's about community when you're talking branches. It sounds like.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Is there something you think credit unions need to do different? Is it the branches? Is it the mobile first to stay relevant, down the road, a few years from now?
Well, I think the most important thing, I mean, I'm biased here, but one of the most important thing is getting the word out there to the younger generations and really attracting that younger demographic. Because if we look at the average age of credit unions, it's aging every single year. And if that keeps going on, we all know what's going to happen. It's just not
Absolutely.
going to be relevant. So I do think it's really important to figure out a way collectively as an industry how we can reach the younger demographic. And Zogo is definitely trying our best to help, but I think it requires even more than just Zogo. It requires kind of an overall initiatives and understanding of the problem.
No, yeah, I agree with you. To wrap up the show, I like to have a little fun with some rapid fire questions for those who listen to the CU Insight Experience podcast. The questions, Bolin, are rapid. Your answers do not have to be. Can you think of a recent purchase that you didn't know you needed, but now you're like, I can't live without it, or can't believe I didn't have that?
Oh, I actually bought a candle lighter from Amazon. So they have these like little long,
Oh,
very cool candle lighters, and it has like a little electricity in the front. And I love candles, but previously I'm very scared of fire. So like when with lighters, I'm like very scared of it. So but with a candle lighter, I'm like
no,
using it a lot more. Yeah.
I love it. That's awesome. When you hear the word success, who is the first person that comes to mind and why?
Steve Jobs. I have always built everything based on his principles, and I just think it's incredible how he can create something great with such simplicity, and that's what we strive for at Zogo as well.
That's yeah, I get that. That's simpler is better, right? So the random question, what's the greatest album of all time? But I added this for you. What's that song that you always have to put on a Spotify playlist or
How do I playlist? Wow, that's a good question. I guess I really like Imagine Dragon actually. I know that's very old school, but I'm a big fan of Imagine Dragon.
There you go. Any book that either you've gifted or you just think everyone should read?
Start with Why. It's an amazing book. It benefited me a lot. Yeah, and another book would be I think it's called From Good to Great. They talk about how to become great versus just good.
Yeah.
I think that's another really good book.
That Good to Great has is such an interesting book because I feel like the principles still held up, but some of the examples maybe didn't anymore as time went by.
Yeah,
And it
exactly,
shows how
exactly.
fluid everything is. So when the calendar is empty, you're not building this amazing business. What do you do to unwind? What does that work life integration look like to you?
Yeah. Well, I like driving, so I just sometimes what I do is I just drive around, and also I like playing golf. So sometimes I just go to the driving range because I used to play golf in high school. But yeah, no, but right now, I mean, obviously, there's not that much free time to do
Yeah,
these
no,
things.
you're a busy dude right now. I'll tell you, it's funny you said driving. When we were first starting CUInsight, for some reason, and like working from home, I had a hard time turning my brain off. Um, so I would get in the car, and at the time I lived in South Carolina, and I would just drive the 3.5 hours to the ocean, and sometimes drive back, just because I needed a break from my
Oh my
brain.
God!
Yeah, I was like,
Wow.
driving was my sanctuary, I guess. So well, I
Yeah. No,
appreciate.
same with me.
Yeah, well, Bolin, I appreciate you being on the show today. We will link to everything in the show notes that we talked about. My last question for you: do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share or asks of our audience?
Yeah, no, I mean, I really hope, like together in this next few years, we can make the younger demographics, younger generations aware of the existence of credit unions. And I truly believe that once they are aware of the principles and the concept of a credit unions, they will be on board with the credit unions. So obviously, check out Zogo and see if that might be a good fit. But if even if not, like just I think it's really important to have an initiative at the credit unions around engaging the younger demographic.
That is the perfect way to wrap up the show. Thank you again, my friend, for being on, and please, stay safe, be healthy, be well.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Randy.
You're welcome.